Blessings in the middle of the struggle, finding freedom when life gets tough. Hey everyone, and welcome back. In our last video, we talked about blessings in unexpected places. And today, I really wanted to dig deeper into that subject. There's a powerful kingdom principle here. If we can truly grasp it and then accept it, I believe we can unlock a whole new level of freedom for our lives. Facing reality with courage. So first things first, let's rip off the plaster. Let's rip off the band-aid and be completely real, raw and honest. Life isn't always a bed of roses, and becoming a Christian doesn't magically make our problems disappear. Your struggles are valid, and it is okay to acknowledge them, that sometimes life hurts and sometimes it hurts a lot. We have to be brave to admit that. Now, when I say this, it doesn't mean that we have a free pass to complain to anyone who will listen. Now, it's absolutely necessary and good that we get things off our chest, and honesty is a key for that. But endless complaining and moaning just for the sake of it doesn't help anyone. And you might feel people starting to distance themselves from you if your constant default is to complain. So how do we express this honest struggle? We take it to God. We search our hearts and we pour out our honest condition of our souls. He's not afraid of our honesty or our bluntness. He created us and he desperately wants that deep relationship with us, warts and all. You know, I've even got to the point quite recently where I've shouted, where I've reached my breaking point. But that was my real, raw and honest, unfiltered expression. But here's the incredible kingdom principle. When I did that, I discovered that honesty lit a fire in me, and a holy fire to fight for my life rather than just moan about it. It transformed my perspective. My pastors also teach a powerful concept called bleeding up. This means taking those things that hurt us or trip us up and sharing them with senior leaders or people who are in very close proximity to us, the ones who hold us accountable and offer wise counsel, and most importantly, the ones that hold your struggles privately and do not share them with others. So this isn't actually about complaining, it's about seeking support and wisdom from safe and reliable sources. Overcoming defeatism. This leads me on to our next point. Do we sometimes have a defeatist attitude, a give-up mentality? It is incredibly easy to fall into that when we feel we've been pushed to our limits and the "it's not fair" card comes out. I can talk openly about this to you today because my husband and myself have been masters of defeatism. We've only just started to walk through this ourselves. My go-to was often crying, and his go-to was blaming everything that seemed to be wrong in his eyes. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with crying, and please do it. We need to cry. It's a healthy way to process emotions. And of course, it's vital to stand up against injustices. But when our actions stem from feeling sorry for ourselves, we're not moving towards freedom. Instead, we're sitting in the pit, waiting for somebody to come and rescue us, or until we've had enough of feeling sorry for ourselves, and then we move ourselves. You know, I'm not preaching at you today. I'm here to encourage you. I'm preaching at myself. I've lived this way for far too many years, and I can tell you, we do not find God's freedom, the freedom that he intended for us, in that space. So, okay, you ask, well, how do we find that freedom? How do we live differently when trouble inevitably hits? It starts with a conscious decision. We decide this thing is not taking me down. In the same breath, we acknowledge and we accept that it hurts, but we declare that hurt will not control our actions. We make a daily choice to release and put that weight down, to put off the negative mindset and to cast away that defeatism. God actually spoke to me last week and he said, the reason you don't move forward, Joe, is because you keep putting on that old cloak. You keep going back to the old man and the old life. That cloak was defeatism. So, okay, we actively fill our minds, our thoughts and our speech with what God says. This isn't a nice idea. It's a powerful strategy for our transformation. A real life example of God's goodness. Let me share an example with you. It might shed light on it. We've had a turbulent year, primarily with health conditions, and there's been a lot of struggle and a lot of fight to keep going. At the end of May, my husband banged his leg. We went to A&E, which is the emergency room in other countries, because we weren't sure what had happened. They sent him home with a diagnosis of burst blood vessels in his leg. They said it would be very painful and it would take about a month to heal. Okay, we went with that. So several days before we were due to fly to my husband's parents' home, that was about a month in, after the incident had happened, his leg still seemed very swollen and didn't seem to be healing that quickly. So we both decided the safest option was to see our GP, our general practitioner, and ask, was it safe to fly? What followed was a very crazy 48 hours and a hospital stay in that. The outcome, my husband had very dangerously high blood pressure and the health professionals were confused as to why he hadn't had a stroke already. The answer was clear. We couldn't fly to see his dad. Now, in that moment, we had a choice to view this. A year ago, we would have felt incredibly sorry for ourselves. We would have focused for the loss of money, the inability to see his dad, with his dad's health deteriorating, and all the things that had gone wrong. We would have sat in that pit and made a camp. But, and this is a huge but, we chose to cling with everything we had to the miracle that we had just witnessed. That burst blood vessel in his leg could have easily been in his head and caused a stroke. We were living examples of Psalm 91. So even in our pain and our despair and our disappointment of not flying to see his dad, we saw the blessing of protection and the kindness of our Heavenly Father in this. My husband is alive, well and functioning today because of God's goodness towards us. The power of a transformed mind and gratitude. Perhaps this is what God means when he says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, to alter the way we think. We actually saw God's biggest blessing right in the middle of that painful situation. And I believe a huge part of transformation and a transformed mind is gratitude. I really cannot emphasize that point enough. Gratitude has the power to wipe out so many negative things in our lives. It takes our mind off the bad thing and off the things that seem to be going wrong, sometimes relentlessly, and it perhaps places it on the one tiny little thing that may be going right. When we intentionally practice gratitude, it produces fruit. What you'll find is that the one very small thing that you have started to be grateful for will soon turn into 3 and 4 and 5. And before you know it, 100 things will appear that you can be grateful for. Gratitude has power on its own to change our mindset, but we have to choose to practice it. We won't see the 100 things to be grateful for until we choose the one. Your challenge and my own journey. So are we up for this challenge today? Are we willing to choose how we're going to view those difficult challenges and those difficulties? Are we going to look at the possibility that God might just show his greatness in the situation or perhaps teach us something profound about having more faith in him or trust in the process. I'll leave this with you with this thought, which is where this whole talk came from. I've been going through a really difficult season health-wise, a lot of stopping and starting, a lot of disappointments, a lot of going backwards, and sometimes where I felt like I was falling off the edge. And God just dropped into my spirit today. This season was always going to happen the way it did. The difference is that because you chose to look at me, you've seen the blessings and the greater things in me because you chose where you were going to fix your mind on me and not on the circumstance. My mind was blown, but I was extremely humbled. It's a testament of the power of our perspective when we renew that mind. Let's connect, guys. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you want more support or help to walk into this area of freedom. You know, God bless you all today. And if this content has encouraged you, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. And if you know someone that this may help or needs to hear this today, please pass it on to them. You know, let's be here for each other. Anyway, have a great day, guys, and God bless you. Bye-bye.